early entry program and kindergarten registration is open now for the 2022-23 school year.
We can't wait to meet our new friends. What's it today?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regularly scheduled board meeting for April 4th, 2022. And I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01. We move first to our land designation and prayer, and I would ask Trustee Higdon to provide us with those this evening, please.
Sure. We would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of Treaty 8 territory and the homelands of the Métis people. We recognize the land on which we stand as the ancestral land of the Indigenous peoples and as common home to everyone in virtue of God, our Creator's gracious gift. All right, prayer. All right, would you bow with me tonight? In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you as a board, as staff and administration, just looking to just continue to move forward in your will for our school division and what you have for our students and staff and support staff, teachers, all throughout this city and in our region. God, we just want to just seek you first in your wisdom. I pray that you would just give us the knowledge and the wisdom to make the right decisions that you would approve, and that we put you first and faith at the forefront, so that not only do we provide a safe educational environment for our students, but we are also growing them in faith and creating them to be faith leaders of tomorrow. So thank you for everything that you've done in our school system. Thank you for everything that you're going to continue to do, because we look forward to a very bright future. And thank you for being so awesome. In the name of the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you for that. We move now to item number 4, the adoption of the agenda. If I could ask someone to, if there are any changes, omissions, or additions, I would ask for somebody to move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Trustee Janvier, and all in favor? So moved. We move now to item number 5, adoption of the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes, the regular board meeting that was on March 14th, 2022, and the special board meeting of March 28th, 2022. We've had a chance to review those minutes, and I would ask that if there are no errors or omissions, for a trustee to motion that we adopt those minutes as presented.
A motion that we adopt both minutes as presented from March 14th, 2022, and our special board meeting on March 28th, 2022.
And all in favor? So moved. We move now to item number 8, board presentation, and I cede the floor to Superintendent McMurray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again this evening, we've got three schools coming to come and give you a sense of what they do in the school in relation to their assurance plan, their assurance model that they're working on this year. So first up this evening, Principal at Father Turcotte School, Darren Van Lincoln. The floor is yours, Darren.
Thank you. I just want to send our regrets for Ethna Pierre. We have confirmation this evening at the church, so she's with our students. I'm going to start with the presentation. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go over our assurance plan from Father Turcotte Catholic School. So you can go to the next slide. So the foremost priority for the Fort McMurray Catholic Schools is the academic success and spiritual well-being of our students. All our work is guided by our Division 4 core values, our values of persons, responsibility, learning, and community. The values are displayed amongst our school, but they're also celebrated each month in our Success Assembly. Our school assurance plan is aligned with the board and the district main areas of focus, which include faith development, student success, and mental health. It is my pleasure to take you through some of the great things we are doing at Father Turcotte School to help provide a safe, inclusive learning environment for students and for staff. So each student is called to discipleship and to grow their potential in respecting the unique value, dignity, and mission that God provides for each individual student. As a Catholic school, our relationship with God is paramount, and it is essential that we develop and grow our students and staff in faith. It is also important that we create a place where students are included and feel valued. Throughout the school year, we have encouraged students to think about how they can share their gifts with others in order to be the light that is needed in the world. This year, the district spirituality theme is Growing Together in Christ. We reflect on this theme during our liturgies and a bulletin board display that we share with the message with our students. So I'm going to go through 3 of our major areas for faith development according to our assurance plan. We have focused on these 3 areas, providing staff and students with the opportunity to grow and celebrate their faith through regular liturgical celebrations and Mass. Secondly, to maintain a focus on building school, parish, home relationships. And thirdly, to develop teacher capacity in the application of foundational knowledge about First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of our journey towards truth and reconciliation. So in areas for opportunities to grow and celebrate faith, each month we celebrate different liturgies, and we do this either as a whole school. So at the beginning of the year, it was more virtually, and then this week we'll actually be able to have our liturgy together as a whole school in the gym together, which we're very excited about. We also have done interactive liturgies. So through the season of Advent, students went with their class through different stations for their liturgies. The main thing that we have for our liturgies is that our classes are responsible and help lead the liturgy. So each month a new class takes their role in learning how to follow the structure of a liturgy and then present that to students in the school community. We do the same with our daily prayers. So classes are signed up each month to have their students learn how to write prayers and then present it over the morning announcements with the school. So we've had some beautiful prayers all the way from kinder up to grade 6 that they've shared with the school community. Some of our school initiatives include our Lenten challenge. So right now our students are doing bi-weekly lessons on the Apostles' Creed. We wanted to make sure that the students understood what they were saying when they go through the Apostle Creed and the meaning behind it. So students from Division 1 all the way up to Division 2 do these lessons in their classroom. The other thing that we are doing, especially this week, are the Stations of the Cross. So students read reflections, and we have created a virtual experience as well. So we've recorded some of the students reading the reflections so we can share it with parents, especially for next week since we're not here for Holy Week. As well, near the beginning of the year, 5M class created a video to help students understand the Rosary and to walk them through the different steps of the Rosary. This is one of the quotes from Nicholas Murphy, so he's our grade 5 teacher, and it goes through, essentially it talks about how we wanted our students to really have a foundation of our faith by learning what we say and having the meaning behind the words, but as well as creating these different opportunities for students to be able to have conversations at home through some of the virtual things that we share with home, to be able to grow through their prayer life at home. In developing teacher capacity towards truth and reconciliation, each month we focus on a different sacred teaching, which is, those lessons are reinforced by our Multicultural Liaison, Ms. Wheeler, in the classroom. As well, for teacher development, we did take part in the RMWB challenge for truth and reconciliation, And so we shared that information, we adapted it a bit so that we could share it with our students so that they understood the different topics that we covered with the challenge. We have provided teachers with different resources and connections to Elder Janet. So she was in today, and she loves coming down to the school because she'll talk about Mr. McGuigan teaching grade 6 when she was there and all the different connections. We also utilize our literacy bin to make sure that each month we have at least one Indigenous author or resource so that we can focus on that. We're really trying to make sure we bring different perspectives to our students, and one way that we can do that is through the literacy bin and the activities. Some school initiatives that we have done are the Every Child Matters and the recognition of Truth and Reconciliation Day. We celebrated Métis Heritage Week, and which was really special for a lot of our students because we created different videos to share. So some of our students who are Métis talked about just different articles of clothing that they wear. So they talked about the sash, they talked about the moccasins that they wore, and then they explained the Red River jigs that all of the students participated in after. But it was really meaningful because their peers got to see them explain the information, so it was a little bit more meaningful to them. During that week, we also, Shelley Pullen, who is our front office administrator, those are the moccasins that her grandma made. She had a few different sizes that we put on display, but she also had a reading from one of the city's books. So she brought in old books that were different elders had written different passages. So she read the passage that we recorded and shared with the students to talk about what life in Fort McMurray was like when she was a child, but then to also describe the meanings about the moccasins that she made. We are going to be doing the Moose Hide campaign, and we were able to participate in the Indigenous Map Activity. We wish we had it for longer than a day because there's so much powerful resources there and activities for our students, and it's such a powerful display. So we're hoping to get longer with it next year. But we know, obviously, with our name change that we have a lot of work to go towards as a staff and as a school community towards truth and the act of reconciliation. So for student success, each student has a successful learning journey and a school experience from early learning through to high school. So tonight I'm going to talk primarily about our first two goals of early learning and literacy and numeracy. So for early learning, we are very fortunate because we have the full day kinder program down at Father Turcotte. And so one of our kinder teachers provided a quote for us. Father Turcotte's full day kindergarten program provides our students the gift of time for additional programming in literacy, numeracy, language skills, and real life skills. Providing full day education to our English language learners allows for these students to be immersed in English all day, which increases their language skills. All students are better prepared for grade 1. So our students go through the kinder curriculum, but then they are also supported with play-based activities that enhances their understanding of letters, sounds, and other concepts that they're learning at the kindergarten age so that they're ready for grade 1. For literacy and numeracy, this is our second year with the Fontes and Pinnell program. So this year, our WIG goal is read always, read always. And so I had the maps around there somewhere. Yeah. Perfect. So we created a Monopoly board to try and encourage staff and students to learn the different programming aspects for Fontes and Pinnell. So the interactive read-alouds, the shared and guided reading strategies, as well as we create book reviews. So each month we get a student from each class and they give us a book review on something that they're reading, and we create a digital platform so that other classes can see the book review. So it just gives them a little bit of opportunity to share what they're reading. And then we have phonics, that is, we're more at our primary level that we're using the Jolly Phonics program for them right now. Numeracy, it is our second year as well, doing the MIPI, so we're collecting a lot more data on where we are for what we need for interventions for our math skills. We've done our second mid-year assessment at the end of February. So teachers were able to go back and compare the results from the beginning of the year and see which interventions have been working, or if they need to work on different areas or different strategies for the students, and then we'll complete another one at the end of the year. So teachers use numeracy nets to help identify different intervention strategies, and then they can use the resource of Mathology. We have used our intervention time from the district to focus for our grade 2s and 3s primarily on numeracy because they were getting a lot of literacy support. So we were using that time to help our students bring up their numeracy skills. Some of our school initiatives, inclusive education. So again, I briefly talked about our monthly literacy bins, but those have been essential for us to be able to bring different perspectives and to be able to touch upon different important national themes or monthly themes into the classroom, so we can bring new resources to teachers, and then we provide them activities so that they can relate that to with the students. We've done literacy weeks, numeracy weeks, and the trails and tales, so we set up signs outside for the students to be able to get out and walk and read their different the books with older students as well with younger. And it's helping us to foster different school communities and connections. This was one of the quotes from one of the teachers that have been using the literacy bins. So she uses them as interactive read-alouds. I won't go through the whole quote, but this one was based on the book You Hold Me Up by Monique Smith. And so she put her bulletin board up of one of the interactive activities that they used using the book, and then putting the activity that they had up for the display. For mental health and wellness, making sure that each student and staff member is provided with programming and support centered on improvement of overall emotional support, mental and physical well-being. So we do have Apple Schools programming, Leader in Me. We have a couple of school focuses that we'll talk about, and then as well as being able to participate in some extracurricular activities that has been essential for the wellness of staff and students. So in regards to Apple Schools, they partner with us to provide our nutrition carts. So one of the things that we make sure that at our school is that students have access to food in the morning and throughout the day. So we have fresh fruit that we have available for them, as well as granola bars that they can easily grab in between classes or when they need food, because we know that that is sometimes one of the biggest concerns for our students, to make sure that they're ready to go and well fed so that they can learn. For physical activities, we have monthly challenges through Apple, as well as we've used some of the Apple funding for alien inline skating. And so for a lot of our students, it was their first time on rollerblades, so that was very exciting to go in and see. As well, our grade 6 class was able to work with Jenna through Apple Schools to create the Our Father yoga flow that they taught to the rest of the kids in the school. For Leader in Me, we focus on our monthly habits, as well as we use it to foster whole school approaches to building community and student success. And some of the school initiatives that we focused on are recognizing national focuses on diversity and inclusion. So you can see there, Queen and Muna created our Black History Month poster that they wanted to share with the rest of the school, as well as we shared historical facts and had different activities through our announcements with this school. We celebrated Women's History Month by looking at female scientists. And then we obviously celebrate Autism and Down Syndrome Day to bring awareness to our students. So the whole student awareness, so each month we always focus on the core values, and those are celebrated at our success assemblies, and we pick a sacred teaching, a virtue, and a Leader in Me habit to make sure that we're getting the whole student, encompassing the whole student. I will read this one really quickly from Miss Pierre, as she isn't here today, but ensuring the core values, sacred teachings, and effective habits are visible, heard, demonstrated, and celebrated daily within the walls of Father Turcotte, the students and staff have the opportunity to embrace their personal growth and wellness throughout the course of each day. Our monthly literacy themes, such as Let Your Light Shine Like the Rainbow Crow, took students on an outdoor literacy journey of reading the Indigenous legend of the Rainbow Crow. This reading adventure led to learning how friendship is about responsibility and sharing our talents with others. Students then explored this theme through artwork and a school-wide bulletin board project. Finally, the learning was celebrated in our Success Assembly, showcasing each of our students shining their light and sharing their talents. Connections between literacy instruction and our wellness goals ensure wellness always maintains a place of priority and presence. So we talked a little bit about that, being able to have those extracurriculars. So these are some of the things, our little Husky highlights that we've been fortunate to be able to celebrate this year so far. So we had one of our students had an honorable mention in the Lincoln Alexander essay. We had students receive places, we don't know what the places are yet, for Words in Motion for their poetry. Our grade 3 class, one of the grade 3 classes, placed platinum for their speech arts performance, and they were actually able to go to Canoe to perform. And we have a RARA recipient that will be announced for June, so we're really excited. As well as our students, we have students going to the Wood Buffalo Regional Science Fair. We have had a strong focus on charity, so our students did exceptionally well with our Santa's Anonymous campaign. We did fundraisers for the food bank as well as Red Cross donations. And we have different community partnerships such as Full Circle that comes in once a week for about 10 of our students after school programming. And we have SOS mentorships that come in during the day to meet with some of our kiddos, as well as we have the Northern Trailblazers that come in and meet with our students as well. I tried to be really fast.
That's pretty good. I was almost gonna say.
I know, I tried really
You're
fast.
good. You're good.
Does anyone have any questions?
You do a lot in the school.
We try to. It's very busy.
It's
You
really
can
good.
come visit anytime.
We're talking about it.
Way that we'd always operate.
Yes, so we
Yeah,
have a
those are
very
cool.
big, we have a really big bulletin board, and they have to put stickers up to say how well they're doing. So there's like a green, yellow, or red. So we want them to get the green stickers. But
That's a lot going on, that is amazing.
That's, you mentioned that you had a multicultural liaison.
yes, so at our school, we have a multicultural liaison instead of an Indigenous liaison. She works exceptionally hard to make sure she's covering everything. So she was very excited to have Elder Jeanette in today. And so she had planned really hard for her to come in, and then she had lots of questions for her. She works really well with the other Indigenous liaison, but because of our demographics, she has been exceptional in helping a lot of our newcomer families to settle in and to get students organized. So she's been very helpful.
Yeah, because of where you're located, it's a little bit different.
We have a different demographic.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the Indigenous Map Activity. And could you just clarify, please, for me what that is?
So there is a very large map that I think most of our schools was able to get. So the district was able to have the map, and so it comes with a lot of resources, and it's from Walking Together, so through the ATA. But it's hard to be able to manage. You wish you could have weeks with it because it has activities for all divisions and all grade levels. So we picked grade 4 and up to make sure that they were in and so that we could run activities with them. But that picture, it takes up the whole gym. So it has a map of different where residential schoolings are. They have a map of where different territories are, and so you can go around and explore it, but all the activities that come with it are exceptional for you to use.
Thank you. thank you very much for providing us with your presentation today. We always enjoy hearing what the schools are up to, and as was mentioned, it's obvious you people are very busy there
Yeah, come
with
on
your kiddos.
down. They'll be excited to see you.
And thanks for inviting us, because we'll show up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll go to 8.2 now, and I'll introduce to you Principal of Saidan School, Mr. Jason Campbell, and he'll introduce his team.
Excellent, thank you.
I have to do this before you start, but Stuart Ross says hi.
Oh, Stu! Yes, okay, sorry, it took me a second. He's a Bow parent, and his
Yeah.
boys are at work now. That's awesome.
Rylan and Dalen.
Yes, great,
Evan.
great twins.
I had to do this before you started, because he was like, when you see him, you need
Took me a
to- There
second.
you go.
Can you take one and pass those down, please? Thank you so much for inviting us to participate this evening. As George mentioned, my name is Jason Campbell. I'm principal of St. Anne's School. This is Tracy Brownmore. She is our vice principal, and Meredith McNeil, our CST. Together we comprise the leadership team at St. Anne, and we're very excited to share with you this evening elements of our assurance plan. It's exciting because we're kind of geeky about this sort of thing, to share with you what our teachers are thinking about and how we're attacking and working on some of the issues that we are currently facing. So before we begin the bulk of our 15 minutes, we're going to share with you something that we're calling our literacy and numeracy framework. But before we get to that, I do want to mention that we do have permeating principles that appear throughout our assurance plan and throughout all of the other aspects that we organize in our building: faith development, of course, wellness, Indigenous education, and leadership. These we are calling our permeating principles because they're interwoven in all of the other aspects of education that we are doing. We're going to focus this evening, as I mentioned, on literacy and numeracy, because through consultation with our parent council, our teachers, our division, taking a look at all of our data that we've collected over at the beginning of this year in comparison to other years, literacy and numeracy, as I'm sure you're all aware, keeps coming to the top of the pile of areas of concern for our families, and certainly for our teachers as well. So when we got together at the beginning of the year as a staff, we really attempted to hone in on what sorts of things we needed to do to ensure that literacy and numeracy instruction was meeting the needs of all of the students in our school. We were confident with our faith permeation, we were confident with our leadership permeation and our wellness, but when we looked at the core business of what we were doing, literacy and numeracy kept emerging as an area of significant growth for us. And St. Anne has always had a long history of success in literacy, but as we looked at our historical results, we noticed with fire, flood, pandemic, there was certainly room for growth. The challenge is, literacy and numeracy are extremely broad topics. And to get a group of teachers to agree on what's the best method to do this, what's the best method to do that, how are we going to do this, it was extremely tricky to narrow everyone down into particular areas of focus. So Meredith and Tracy and I, in consultation with the staff, created something that we call our literacy framework. It is our guiding framework. This is our priorities. So when we're planning literacy interventions, literacy, numeracy approaches to education instruction, we are keeping this framework at the forefront of everything that we're doing. This is the framework that we're going to share with you this evening, and it is what you have in front of you right now. When we unpacked what we would need for a numeracy and literacy program that would be successful over time, regardless of the needs of our students, regardless of the curriculum that is in and out and changing, we needed to come up with a way to organize our school priorities in literacy and numeracy, and we settled on the 3 R's for literacy and numeracy success. The first one being rich environments, the second one being responsive instruction, and the third one being robust efficacy. These 3 elements guide our decisions that we make as a team when helping teachers support their students in literacy and numeracy endeavors. So we're going to spend a short period of time talking a little bit about the first two, rich environments and responsive instruction. And then we're going to share with you our particular area of focus this year has been on increasing efficacy among our teaching staff. And we'll share a little bit more about that in a second. But we'd like to start with rich environments. If you want to scroll back one, we're going to use that same slide for, thank you. So rich environments. One thing that we've done very well in Fort McMurray Catholic Schools across our whole division is we've become very good at isolating the components of reading and writing that our students need to learn. We are excellent at the mechanics of reading, but what we've realized over time is that what we were missing, at least at St. Anne's School, was a joy of reading, the art of writing, and not simply reading to be assessed, writing to be assessed, and then going back and trying harder again to be reassessed. We noticed that there was a significant culture of reading and writing and doing math for fun and enjoyment and for multi-purposes that we weren't actually getting across to our students. We had become so focused on hammering away at the individual components of literacy and numeracy instruction that we kind of got away from the big picture. But unfortunately, the big picture is what gets kids excited about math, excited about reading, and excited about writing. And so for a significant portion of this year, and this is more of a 3-year plan we envision moving forward, is how do we create those rich environments? A ton of research has shown that schools, what you see on the walls, what you feel in the building, what the students see every day is what they value the most. And we've done an exceptional job with keeping our faith at the forefront. So when they walk into a Catholic school, when a parent walks into a Catholic school, they know that it is a Catholic school, particularly at St. Anne. Do they know that reading and writing is a priority? Well, of course, it's a school, right? Reading and writing is what we do, reading, writing, math. But do the kids see it? Do they feel excitement about it? Do the families know that this is what we are championing as essential to student success? And so by creating rich environments that have lots of amazing books, they have a library filled with books and not necessarily computers. We have real-world math problems that they can attack and they can enjoy. The bulletin boards have evidence of reading and writing and math. There are anchor charts all over the walls. Are they seeing those things? Because those are an essential part of long-term success in literacy and numeracy. The other piece is responsive instruction. This is our other R that we're working on. We, over the last decade in FMCSD, have spent a significant amount of time and energy on creating literacy classrooms that are diverse, that have a wide variety of activities, and that meet the needs of individual students based on how they're doing. You know, we use our Fountas-Pinnell leveling system to figure out where they are in their reading development. And we've gotten very good at creating small group and intervention pieces to help those students improve. We don't necessarily have that in numeracy. And as we move through our data, we're realizing that as our students age through our system, through St. Anne from grade 1 all the way to grade 6, the math gaps get deeper as you get deeper into the school, into the grades. And so what we want to do is replicate the same success we've had with literacy by using a responsive instruction model, and we are crafting that in numeracy. So we are looking at guided numeracy the same way we do guided reading. We are looking at creating small group and individual conferencing opportunities in the math classroom instead of the teacher demonstrating at the front and then working her way up and down the rows to try to match and get to the students who need the support. With the district's use of the MIPI, the math diagnostic, we now have a way to figure out before we even start a unit where each of our kids lies in regards to their skills and confidence. And so we are building a numeracy responsive instruction model in order to see if we can take some of the same gains we're making in literacy and move that over into our numeracy instruction. And the last R is really quick, is robust efficacy. Efficacy has become a little bit of a buzzword in education. We hear it all the time. And it's important to understand that efficacy doesn't mean effective. Efficacy means that a teacher, a student, a family feels that they have the skills necessary to attack a situation successfully. So when a teacher is feeling that they have strong feeling of self-efficacy, that means they feel that they have the confidence and the skills and the tools to do what is necessary for their students. A staff with a strong collective efficacy feels that as a group, there's nothing we can't do. And so that really encourages a sense of enthusiasm and motivation for instruction. And what we're attempting to do is build a strong self and collective efficacy among our teachers in regards to literacy and numeracy instruction. You would be surprised by how many teachers self-identify as being nervous about their ability to teach a kid how to read. We all go to university for this. We all have education degrees. But when it comes down to something as essential and as important as teaching a child how to read and teaching a child how to do math successfully, we get a little panicky sometimes that maybe we don't have all the same skills or the confidence that we need to do this. And we are attacking that through our focus on robust efficacy. The thing about efficacy is that it's a feeling. You can't simply tell someone, please have more efficacy. They have to feel it, and if they don't feel that they have it, then we're kind of spinning our tires. And so Meredith and Tracy and I, at the beginning of the year, in consultation with the staff, began asking them questions about how do we help you with this? Like, we know you're good. We know you're good. We know you're great. But how do we get you to a point where you're feeling so strong in your efficacy for literacy and numeracy that we begin transferring that to our students? Because students can feel self and collective efficacy. And once we get it into our students, how do we transfer that to our families? So stage one is staff, and we're going to share 3 ways that we're building efficacy amongst our staff for literacy and numeracy. While we realize the common denominator, the currency that we had as administrators and as leaders is time. It's the only currency we have, and it is the biggest stressor impacting teaching lives right now. In all the craziness that's happening in the world and has been happening in the world, we keep coming back to time. I wish I had more time. I wish we had more time, if only we had the time. And so Meredith, Tracy, and I are going to share 3 ways that we are attacking time to build self and collective efficacy among our teachers in literacy and numeracy.
So one of the first ways that we came up with as a team was to place the highest level of importance on that time that staff has together. So with our valuing our PLF school-based time, we wanted to give teachers the space to come together and share and collaborate. And it really united and ignited some collaboration and some input across the whole school. To make the best use of it, we gather together as a full staff and we have full discussions, we share PD activities, and lots of ideas in order to build and attain our school goals. This time spent discussing and brainstorming our classroom practices really outweighs sitting down for a staff meeting. So one way we've avoided sitting down and talking about all of the tasks and activities and events upcoming is by sharing a weekly email that goes out in advance so that everyone can read the email, and then when we are together we have that time to kind of just collaborate and bring together everyone's ideas and fulfill the gaps in which the teachers are feeling. So we've utilized a range of PD opportunities this year brought forward by staff and by our admin team and presented by various presenters. We've had staff present to us, the admin team as well, our curriculum and assessment team from Matt and Danielle. We've done virtual opportunities as well as guests from the community and afar. We've come together to realize that all of our time is better suited when we are working together on a common goal. So I did speak to a couple of teachers looking for a little bit of feedback and what they found most beneficial about how we've been spending our school-based Friday time. And in Div 1, the classroom teachers spoke passionately about getting into the Fontes and Pinnell guided reading practices and how she worked with her grade level partner, and they did common book themes and then swapped activities, and they found it much smoother when they did it together, and then they brought that, they both felt that now they have that excitement for the Fontes and Pinnell packages, that they will move on to the Fontes and Pinnell writing guide as well. When I followed up with some Div 2 teachers, they spoke about the data coming from the MIPI and having the collaborative time with their grade level team to take that data and really focus on the crucial needs in the classroom at that current moment. And as they moved through different units, then they could look at different areas of strengths and weaknesses and areas of growth within the students, and then just hone in on that. But they had that collaborative time together to do so, which is, Tracy's up next to talk about how they did that.
So Jason talked a little bit about robust efficacy, which means it's ongoing, it is, and it's a feeling. It's a, you know it's moving. We know our greatest resource is our staff, and again, Jason said, our greatest currency with staff is time. Because anytime you come up with a new initiative, oh, that's really great, but when am I gonna do that? Oh, that's really great, but if you met so-and-so in my classroom, when am I gonna get time to do that for her? And so that's always the biggest thing that comes back anytime you try to do a new initiative is time. What about the time? Who's gonna find the time? And I mean, like we talked earlier, schools are busy places. There's lots going on. So what we did as a leadership team was looked at community of practice days. We call them COP days in our school. So what happens on a COP day in Division 2, now time has been provided by the school division for our Division 1 teachers, grades 1 to 3, but Division 2 didn't have that time. And we looked at the data and we knew it was just as important for our older kids as it was for the younger students. So what happens on a community of practice day? Jason and I go in and teach for the whole day, and Meredith takes over the office for the day. We're in the building, it's, you know, but we felt it was a really good use of our resources in the school. And the teachers then go and they meet together and they collaborate. It is not planning time, like what are you doing in math tomorrow? It is not marking time, like you're gonna just sit and get caught up on your work. That's part of your everyday responsibilities. This is focused, dedicated time on school goals, looking at curriculum, assessment, and enhancing learning. How do you make classrooms a better space for your students? Again, we work with some of the brightest, most effective educators I've ever met. And so it wouldn't be just telling them, do this or do that, or that's best practice. Allowing them to shine and share their knowledge and work together collaboratively has paid us incredible dividends. When Jason and I do those community of practice days, it also helps us. It helps us keep our teaching skills fresh. We are seen as learning leaders in our buildings because people get to see us in action as teachers, and that they might not have done before. Meredith gets to grow, right? Because she gets to do that administrative piece and make all those decisions on the fly. And so that's fantastic. Teachers have said that this has alleviated so much stress for them. They don't have to make all the decisions on their own. They can bounce it off their grade partner, and they're given time to do that. They're looking at curriculum much more frequently than they would have been in the past because they're required to do so as part of this time. Where are you in the curriculum? How are the students achieving in curriculum? They're collecting more data and comparing data, so they're classroom-based assessments. Then they're looking at that data and how are the kids doing? So we said on the MIPI they did this. This is the intervention we're going to put in place. How did the kids do? Are we making progress? And they are visiting that at least twice a month. So historically, one of the criticisms of PLC time is that people are only working on their goals on Fridays. Well, now they have an additional day dedicated to that work once a month. And so the momentum keeps going between the Friday meetings. When we get together as a PLC, as a whole group, people are bringing back the things that they're doing, they're talking about, they're sharing with each other. And teachers have said that this time is invaluable. They don't want to give it up for anything. And I think Jason touched on it too, that there's a renewed enthusiasm in our building for both teaching and learning. People are excited about it again, and especially with all of the COVID restrictions. It got to be in a box, so you can only teach this way. And so now people are really getting excited again about different ways to do things and different ways to reach children.
So the last thing that I want to mention before we finish up is we began the year with something we call the Distributive Leadership Program. Tracy and I walked the staff through an activity on day one called the DNA activity, Dreams, Needs, and Abilities. And we had each teacher in our school report to us. It was a little paperwork. They filled out their dreams for the school year, their needs for the school year, and the abilities that they would like to share with the school as a whole. And when we sat down and we went through those DNA forms, we realized that there were 4 or 5 teachers who wanted an additional leadership opportunity. They wanted a chance to work on something whole school. And part of building efficacy is building trust, building enthusiasm, diversifying our approach to leadership. And so this year, we sat down and we looked at our music schedule. We are very lucky to have 1.7 music teachers supporting our population at Saidan. And when we looked at ways of maximizing and making their schedule a little bit more efficient, we were able to accomplish a couple of things. The first thing, Kathy Larson, I don't know if any of you know Kathy Larson, she is our music teacher. She is an extremely proud Catholic and very faithful in what she does. And for the first time in 20 years, we asked her to teach religion. And we asked her to teach religion and share her faith with grade 5 and grade 6, which is getting kind of up there for religion. They have lots of questions that they hammer at her regularly, and she is loving being in the classroom teaching religion. What that has allowed us to do is we've been able to provide blocks of time in other teachers' schedules to get out and be leaders. We had Carolyn Harris is our Division II leader. She has a Master's of Instructional Leadership. She is taking on her grade 4 to 6 teacher on the ground leadership. She's helping the staff in Div 2 work through the Fountas Pinnell classroom. She consults with us. It's been a minute since we've been in a classroom, and this helps us when we say, oh, we're gonna do this, 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 and this. She puts up her hand and says, none of that is gonna fly if you package it like that. Dana Cole, who is a grade 3 teacher, she has just finished her Master's in Curriculum and Assessment. She is our Division II lead. Philip Murray, who is our other music teacher, teaches her portions of her religion classes to allow her to have the opportunity to come out. She's doing the same role as Carolyn. We've scheduled it so that she and Carolyn have the same time, so that we can all meet together as a team and they can work on their leadership. We have Maya Young. Maya Young is a grade 2 teacher. She has just finished her Master's in Indigenization of Colonial Curriculum and Place-Based Learning. And Maya has 2 blocks a week, compliments of Philip, to work with our Indigenous liaison and then advise us and the whole teaching team on how do a bunch of non-Indigenous teachers take our teachings and begin to indigenize them and to look at more ideas of place-based learning. And we also have Billy Jo Banjin, who is our grade 5 teacher who has a passion for assistive technology, and she has a little bit of time during her week to help us figure out how to more effectively use Google Classroom to meet our literacy numeracy needs, how to effectively use Read and Write Gold. Lydia is wonderful, but Lydia is very, very busy. So having Billy Jo, who has formed a relationship with corporate networks, she's moving and shaking 2 blocks a week to make sure that our teachers from K to 6 have all they need for their technology. And this becomes a distributive leadership team where Tracy and I and Meredith had the ability to call on these other people and build them up, and all of that comes back into play in creating strong self-efficacy amongst the teaching team. I would say enthusiasm is really high right now. It's very exciting. They're ready to attack next year. They're ready to plan for the next round of PLFs and to take our literacy growth and literacy numeracy growth plan forward. Very last thing, because I'm probably way over the 15 minutes, is our school assurance plan, our next step. We were struggling this year with what to do with our Leader in Me time. We have a wonderful relationship with Mike Sudo, who is our assigned Leader in Me coach. Mike has just gotten the designation in executive leadership, and so we brainstormed with Mike how to effectively use his time. And what we're creating is something we're calling a Stakeholder Congress. The division recently sent out parent surveys, staff surveys, and student surveys to get information to plan forward for the fall. And we're going to build on that by hosting an evening in June, facilitated by our student leaders, that invites parents, educational assistants, custodial staff, you all, if you're available, to come into our school for an evening, 90 minutes, there's going to be snacks. We will have set questions about the direction of St. Anne's School. As a parent, what would you like 2022-23 look like? As a teacher working with parents, what would you like 2022-2023 to look like? And our students will be part of that process too. As Mike is an expert, we're going to talk about circle of control and circle of concern. We can be concerned about a whole lot of stuff, but what can we actually control to hammer us down? And he's going to spend the next 4 hours, I think we have of our coaching time, walking the three of us through how to craft those questions, how to create that evening, and then what to do with the data once we take it in. So, and that's it. Questions?
Really dumb question, but DNA, what was the N for again? So
Dreams, needs, abilities.
Okay. Let's write it down. So, so I can't remember what you said.
I'm more of a comment. I like how you're focusing on the staff. Again, you know, through the other assurance plans, it's great. I'm sure everybody, it's nice to see what we're doing with the staff.
Right.
So it's kind of, like we see all the, I'm sure you do all the cool things that everybody else does, but it's kind of cool to see what you're doing. How much time do you think you've kind of bought by what you're doing? Like for like,
It's momentum. It's that I don't know how much time we've bought, because there is like a daily Division 2 meeting happening in the hallway. I come in off supervision, I'm walking down the hallway, and all the grade 4, 5, 6 teachers are in the halls talking about whatever intervention they put in place today. Oh, hey, remember we talked about on Friday, long division was huge for a bit. And so, like they're, like I said, the momentum it's carrying itself. So that's the dividend that it's paying. So like they're in the hallway and they're all talking about what they did with long division on a Tuesday afternoon and bouncing ideas off each other. It's been sort of a natural outgrowth. So I can't even talk about how much time, because it's not just that time that we've given them that day. There's momentum. Everybody's talking about teaching and learning. How are your kids doing? What did you do? What are we struggling with? What are you spending more time on? What are we spending less time on? What did they get right away? And it's just, those professional conversations are happening much more frequently and organically.
It snowballs. So the small gift of time that allows Tracy and I to be in the classrooms, it seems like it's 7 hours or 6.5 hours, but it increases enthusiasm, and then those conversations start happening more frequently without us providing that time.
Does it feel like longer in the classroom for you guys?
It's the breaks. Is I got 10 minutes to get to the washroom and back, and I'm eating lunch in 15 minutes, because you think, oh, 20 minutes is long enough for lunch, but you have snow pants and the boots, and where's my lunch? And it's nice, and it's actually really nice for the teachers to see. Well, it's sometimes, and it's interesting for the teachers to see us running to the washroom.
It's a great equalizer,
and
isn't it?
getting back into the classroom, and Promethean verb won't turn on, and how do I find this, and it's library block, but it isn't, and so it's a humility piece for us, but it makes them realize that we are invested in what they do. And that's important. And Meredith has an opportunity with us in the building to clean up the puke and find the captain quick and deal with the scuffles and
Good time.
and all of those things, while we're a text away to say, you know, these are things you should consider. But it's pretty exciting on comp days. It's a fun day at school.
it seems like this shouldn't, I mean, this just to me is not rocket science and it makes so much sense. Why doesn't everybody?
It's tricky, and we know and we acknowledge that we've found ways to find that time. Other schools don't necessarily
And it's a
have
different-
that in their schedule, and the demographics are different from building to building.
It's a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
Be a great day to visit one of those cop days.
Do you want to come teach on a coffee?
Anytime.
I just need to say though, like, it keeps my skills fresh. I've been out of the classroom for a while. And although I'm highly organized and I can tell you all of the accommodations and procedures to put in place to help children. I was teaching a kindergarten class. I'm a kindergarten teacher, I've taught kindergarten. I did a foolish thing. I said to all the kids, all right, take your shoes off, put your lunch away, and go get dressed. Chaos. Oh, right, take your shoes off. Put your shoes away. Come back, get your lunch, line up, get your snow pants. And I know that that's what 5-year-olds need. But because I'm not in the classroom all the time like I once was, where that became habitual language for me, now that on those cop days, like I said, it keeps my skills fresh. Because the kids will give you immediate feedback.
Immediate.
And then, you know.
And
But I love that they can see you in the classroom, because then the kids, it's, you know, for some kids, ooh, that's the principal, the vice principal, but you're still teachers, like, right? I just think that's so great, and I think that's amazing.
And then I also have to say, in terms of our teachers too, I mean, we are all great educators. I believe that about myself and about my team. But not all of our teachers who work with us every day have got to see us in those roles as classroom teachers. And so it also brings some validity to our administrative positions.
it allows us to have more frank conversations. And when we're talking about little Johnny, we've been there, 4 or 5 times now for a full day, so we're seeing what you're seeing, and here are some tips that we would see. So it's good. It's been a great experience.
Saidan is close to my heart. So exciting.
I think one of the things that I noticed throughout your presentation really was it validates the leader in me program. Like I can hear it in the way you speak, and I can almost see the synergies when you talk about them, amongst your staff and the students. And very much appreciate all that you do.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Does anybody have any questions, any other?
I'm sorry, I know I'm sorry that different people presenting. Really interested, really quick, in your creating rich environments section, talking about hammering down literacy and numeracy. You really tapped into, I think, what's more of a, not just the same hands recognition, but a cultural, I think, difficulty across education is instilling that love for literacy and numeracy, especially reading. So it's not associated with a task that has to be done, but it's a development of a curiosity and a love for the stories and finding answers in books. And you're competing with Netflix and Disney Plus and everything right here.
Right.
So I guess my biggest, thank you, that's really amazing. Is there anything in your key components that, since you've sort of been developing this or focusing on it, that you would say have made the biggest strides, that are perhaps instilling that initiative to pick up a book? I know that's probably a very complicated question, but that's kind of what I'm curious about, is where you're seeing the most success in developing that habit in children, as opposed to associating literacy with a job or a task that has to be completed.
The stage that we're at with that is changing the staff narrative about what comprises it, and we've spent so much of our time focusing on becoming excellent teachers of specific components of reading that I think a lot of ways teachers have forgotten how enjoyable it is to read, and we teach the kids to read so that we can assess them, so we know how to teach them some more so that we can assess them. One of our biggest components is our Fountas Pinnell Classroom Instructional Read Aloud section. It was the very first component of our Fountas Pinnell Classroom that we did. And the whole point is using extremely engaging texts that were not written to diagnose reading. They were written by authors to just be joyful. And getting our teachers back to reading out loud in front of a room and engaging and asking questions about what they're reading. When we first started it, the teachers were coming back. These IRAs are taking me an hour. I had 22 minutes and I spent 48 of them on this IRA. My whole morning is gone. But then we would say, but why? Well, because the kids are asking questions. They want us to keep going. And then they're going and they're picking those books out themselves when it's time for silent reading. And so, as silly as it sounds, getting back to reading out loud to kids in an engaging way, using engaging books, and not just the ones that come in the pack to assess reading level, has made a significant difference. And they're also seeing that in their writing. Kids who experience richer texts write better stories, because it's all part of the process. And we're doing the same thing in Numeracy. We have bulletin boards. It's a math challenge. Every couple weeks we put up a new question. Kids can win $10 if they can answer the question. And putting really complex math questions on the challenge board has gotten them excited to get their name in the ballot with the question showing their work. And so it's just about reminding them that this is fun. We do it for a reason, not just to be assessed. But the IRAs, I think, would be our best example of that right now.
And again, all the modeling, right? I mean, Jason and Meredith and I are all passionate readers. And so that modeling, first of all, best learning happens in relationship with somebody else. And so one of the things, like, I will often hijack a library period, and just if I have time or I need to get out of my office, it's like, who's in the library right now? Is that teacher gonna be mad if I stroll in and take over? Generally, no. And so I'll go in and I'll pick my favorite book and I'll read it aloud to the kids, and now I get them in the hallway and they're going, hey, what are you doing today?
Between 11:15 and 11:45.
My class has library today, can you come? And so they see me as a reader and they want to enjoy that and they want me to be a part of it. And I've modeled for them, like, here's a great book. Or else sometimes they'll be walking the hallway, they'll stop me, they'll say, hey, can you come here for a minute? I'm looking for a book about this. Is there anything you would recommend? And so I'm giving book recommendations. So, and teachers are doing the same thing. Teachers always do the same thing. But it's that I value it. They see me as a role model, and I can demonstrate, you know, what great books are and what great literature is, and that it's fun and it's interesting, and how to find a book and how to pick a book. And then we have a book club coming up soon. The kids are going to meet at lunchtime, and so that, again... We
have one student in it right now, but we're working on that.
It's a presentation. You're not supposed to tell me that this exciting.
We're working on it.
It's sort of one.
Yes.
Everything starts on one. Can you remind me what IRA?
Instructional read aloud.
Read aloud.
Interactive read aloud. And if any...
Read aloud.
Open invitation to stop by Saidan if you want to learn a little bit more about the Fountas Pinnell classrooms that we have. We'd love to walk you through it.
Love to come.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, Madam Chair, certainly last but not least, I'll introduce to you the principal at Ecole Boreal, Madame Fiddler. Ecole St. Paul, sorry.
Insurance for.
Sue, did you want to take keyboard? Sure. Okay, there you go. I just have a lot of pictures to kind of go through. Put that down for a second. And then I'll pass that down. Good evening. Just for the benefit of the trustees that may not know who we are, I am Claudette Fiddler, principal in my 9th year at Ecole St. Paul School. I was a student of Ecole St. Paul School back in the 70s. My daughters attended that school, and I'm really proud to be a principal there, kind of full circle. It's like my second home, and the staff, students, and parents are like my second family. I'm really grateful to be working with Sarah. It's complete shared leadership,
if you just want to say.
I'm Sarah Gagnon. It's my second year at St. Paul School. Like Claudette, I did most of my schooling in Fort McMurray at St. Anne's, and then Father Mercury as well. So, okay. Do you want to just? I won't let us play that one. That's okay.
Okay, here we go. Our mission statement was created about 8 years ago, and it involved all stakeholders, staff, students, and parents, and we really wanted to reflect who we are and what our mission is at our school. So together we grow respectfully in our faith, our learning, and our leadership. Our FMCSD core values are posted in the main office for all to see, and they are guiding principles that dictate our behavior towards each other, in our community, and towards learning. École St. Paul School is a dual-track school with 57% French immersion students and 43% English students. We are one big school family, and French and English students and staff work collaboratively and enjoy learning from each other. We've been a Leader in Me school for 9.5 years. However, we recognize that our journey of improvement is continuous. If you were to take a walk through our leadership hallway, you would see classroom mission statements on display. Our classroom mission statements are created every year by each of our classes in the first month of the school year, and classes identify what they believe in and their goals for the school year. I'll read for you just the two English one in case you can't see because it's small. This one says, we work together, take turns, and play fairly. We help each other learn, and we problem solve. We do our best work every day. We are a happy family.
So just to start about how we got to this point, the data collection and measures to inform our framework, and going back to the district goals of student success in learning, early learning, literacy, numeracy, faith development, mental health, and wellness. And as a school, we want all of our students to be active learners. And we have found that to have an excellent start, for them to want to come to school, to succeed academically, it's not possible without first having that strong development in our faith and our mental health and wellness, and building that resilience and building that foundation of hope. In our surveys at the end of last year and throughout this year, what we found is our stakeholders, that's students, parents, staff as well, expressed a desire for increased family involvement. So with COVID, with families not being allowed in the buildings, they felt that was an area that they really missed, and they wanted to go back. So some of the things we did before, barbecues, movie nights, dances, parents were constantly in the school volunteering. We had a very strong school council and Parents of Panthers. So when we put this framework together, we spent some time aligning our priorities and outcomes to our Leader in Me framework with the help of Mike Sudo again, who helped us put it together in a way that we were already doing in our school as our school improvement plan. So that is the paper that you have in front of you. So on one page is all of our data collection, kind of the overarching goals. And then on the other is all of the initiatives that we have in the school mapped to the Leader in Me framework. So that is with leadership, culture, academics, and focusing on our priorities in there. So we're going to talk briefly, we both talk pretty fast, so hopefully it'll be pretty quick, about those priorities. And then we've separated truth and reconciliation in there as well, because we know that having a focus on truth and reconciliation and our Indigenous students also is important with all of those aspects.
Okay, so beginning with mental health and wellness, we strongly believe that to teach our students effectively, we must touch their hearts first before we teach their minds. École St. Paul School is strong in service to others, school tradition, and school-wide activities. It unifies us, provides positive interactions with each other, and it does impact academic success. Pink Shirt Day is celebrated every year and is a good reminder for all to be kind to each other. Our staff comprehensive school health champion, working under the Apple Schools umbrella, continually promotes the 4 pillars of successful schools through a variety of healthy, positive initiatives. The Tree of Gratitude
In this, we cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing and to give thanks constantly and continuously. Our classes participate in the Tree of Gratitude activity led by our school counselor. Staff and classes celebrate Thankful Thursdays every week. And other mental health supports for our students include universal mindfulness activities, the Lego groups, zones of regulation, and welcoming in SOS mentors. The Leader in Me banner you see here, students have many opportunities to find their voice, which is habit 8 of Leader in Me. Here's a banner created by student Kristen Dizone. All classes participate in Leader in Me time. We call it lead time. It's a 30-minute block once a week, which is committed to Leader in Me learning. Our students have also numerous opportunities to highlight their strengths and leaderships abilities through classroom and school-wide responsibilities. We have a student lighthouse team as well as a staff lighthouse team and 2 staff Leader in Me champions. We just recently celebrated our 9th annual Carnaval d'hiver. It's a wonderful opportunity for our students to celebrate the French culture. Here, our first picture is our Carnival Queen, Saidan, entering our assembly with Bonhomme Carnaval. The staff horn blowing competition always makes students laugh and cheer. And we have a great picture of Mr. McGuigan. He was a fantastic sport and participated in the competition this year. Classes, another cherished tradition is our Counterval canoe races. So classes construct a canoe to race against other classes. This has always happened in the gym, however, with our nice weather this year, we were able to do it outside. So school-wide outside in their canoes, racing on the snow. Lots of fun. The Christmas tree project, pictured here, we gather toys like all the other schools to support Santa's Anonymous. Our students and staff are also very involved throughout the year with other community service projects and social activism. And Sarah will provide more examples once we get to our faith. Black History Month, we began recognizing and celebrating the importance of Black history and Black Canadian legends 7 years ago, and we're very proud of our growth in this area. Despite the limitations of COVID this year, we still managed our annual fashion show of traditional African attire, and students had so much fun.
Okay, next we're going to talk about faith development. So our 2 main priorities are to reestablish the links between school, parish, home, and faith opportunities with the change in restrictions, and also to embed faith opportunities within daily classroom activities, not only religion. And so when we talk about prayer being an important part of that in our daily school life, both individual, praying the Rosary in class, whether that is whole class praying, and we also pray as a community at 1 o'clock with the help of student leaders. We had, during COVID, and we had some classes that were off-site learning. Last year, opportunities to pray the virtual Rosary with Claudette, who led that. This is a grade 4 class, Mrs. LeBlanc, who initiated connections with both priests via Zoom, via Google Meet, and this is with Sister Mary Catherine from the Sisters of Our Lady Immaculate in Ontario as well. So allowing students to connect, to ask questions, even when they were all at home in this situation. So with COVID, what we had was a focus on in-class prayers, virtual liturgies, virtual rosaries, and looking forward to move to that in person over the next few months. So for the Lenten season, we have the Stations of the Cross. These were created by one of the teachers that came into our school. So they're stained glass, all of the Stations of the Cross, along with a prayer, and they are put on the windows of the classroom so students can walk outside around the school, and are led by some of our grade 6 leaders, our little ones that can't quite read that far up. And they can go around the school. We did this last year as an opportunity to gather, even with COVID restrictions, and then continued this year as well. And some students would take their parents as well. After school, they're on the windows, so you can go anytime to do it with their families. Moving back to in-person, and being able to see faith in practice, along with worship songs with our music teacher, Mrs. Mackley, and returning to our in-person Lenten liturgy with Father Francis, and returning to the church in April. We've also had opportunities for our sacramental prep, faith jam, and we have quite a few students that have been celebrating the sacraments with that. For our social justice, we've had a few initiatives. So fundraising for the Stallery is one that is going on right now. We had the Northern Birthday Box Project. This was led by some grade 5 students. We've sent clothing to Venezuela, and then also just classroom projects. So here they were looking at symbolism within, this is grade 5 again.
Like all schools, we've been working towards reconciliation since the calls to action were released in 2015. So when we recognize the important days like the Moose High Campaign, the Heart Garden, Orange Shirt Day, we bring truth and reconciliation to life. We also have 2 staff members, 2 teachers who are Indigenous champions as well as our Indigenous liaison. Our goal is to have them lead in a more authentic way beyond just these specific days. The Heart Garden, we typically will do that outdoors where we can smudge, and in the past when we could, we had elders join us as well. This year, Sandy Martin, our Indigenous liaison, is making bannock with all of the classes from scratch with a recipe, so they bake it together and then enjoy it. We really have found that because of the pandemic, it has so impacted our connections with the community and our Indigenous families. In the past, we would always have in the fall an Indigenous meet and greet, welcome our families in and feed them and do crafts and stories, and we'd even play bingo. And we had a lot of fun with that, and we're moving towards that again because it really was missed. The giant floor map was mentioned by Father Turcotte by Darren. We too had just one day, and we set up in the gym. We had all of our classes get to explore it, but it was only a 30-minute exploration, so it wasn't a whole lot of time to take a look at the timelines that are wrapped around the map and really dig deep. I think if we could, as a school division at elementary schools, ask a wish list item, that would be that we could invest in a floor map that we could have in our district to use, and have a week at a time, schools having an opportunity with that. Our Indigenous Peoples Day, weather permitting, we've always had it outdoors on our school grounds. We set up the smaller teepees that we have in our school. Classes can read, gather, and do Indigenous stories, crafts. And pre-COVID, we even had 2 propane fire pits set up so that the kids could do some bannock making, bannock on a stick. Here we have a picture of Eli Akins, a student of ours in grade 2, and during Métis Week he dressed in his full Indigenous clothing. He's very proud of his culture, and we do learn a lot from him. Eli has made teaching videos for us about smudging, jigging, and making bannock. Finally, we have just a picture here of the wampum belts. Every year, our grade 6 students learn how to make the wampum belts as an example of what they would do in grade 6. In grade 2s, they often will make the Inuk shuks. So here, the students reflected on color and design, so their wampum belts told a story about what was important to them. This year, we've also re-implemented our Full Circle Mentoring Program, sponsored by the Boys and Girls Club. And Miss Sandy, our Indigenous liaison, carves out time daily and each day to eat with our Indigenous students and share a meal together.
All right, student success. So at St. Paul, we have, our demographics are different again because we have more than half of our population that is in French immersion, as well as a large population of English language learners, and that's within both programs. So whether it's in early learning or grade 1 to 6, when we talk about the foundation to literacy and language learning, our focus is a lot on oral language skills, both for French immersion when learning vocabulary, but also that foundational phonemic awareness and phonics in the younger grades. So we, as a school, have focused a lot on science of reading in early learning and Division 1, and identifying students that might be at risk with the reading readiness screening tool that is done on all of our grade 1 students. That was developed by the Learning Disabilities Association of Alberta, and it's a screening tool to identify any phonological awareness weaknesses or reading readiness skills, and identify very specific student needs that can be addressed by the teacher and by our literacy EAs as well. As we move from early learning to our grades 1 to 6, and switching from learning to read, and then reading to learn, that's when we've started using more of the Fontes and Canoe resources. Like Jason mentioned, the interactive read-alouds have been a hit at all grade levels for really that love of reading. The students are engaged, they're high quality texts, and no matter if they're an EAP or grade 12, students like to sit and listen to someone else read a story to them. So we're really trying to find that balance between the science of reading approach, phonemic awareness phonics in the early grades, and our Fontes and Canoe resources. We've also looked at authentic reading and writing situations. So we track our reading, but we also have a literacy EA, for example, that has started a school newspaper for students that she works with that are having difficulty with writing, because it's something authentic, they're proud of, they can share with the entire school family, and put in the newsletter as well that goes to parents. We have book clubs, and a lot of those things are embedded into our leadership opportunities, whether that is presenting, this is our leadership assembly when we were doing it virtually, our announcement leaders in the morning, our library leaders. This is a group of grade 1 students that I pulled to help me count. We track positive pause as positive reinforcement because we're the Panthers. And so I asked the grade 1 teachers, who are some kiddos that would love to both have a leadership task, and also we're gonna practice counting to 10 and making groups of 10 and do some of that numeracy as well. In French immersion in the younger grades, we use AIM as a resource. So AIM stands for the Accelerative Integrated Method. But it focuses on that oral language, so the speaking and the listening as the foundation to language learning. And when we talk about data sources, we've also continued, this is more in the middle and high school, but the DELF exams, and then we will be bringing that back to Division 2 next year, which focuses not just on reading and writing, but also on speaking and listening in more authentic real-life situations where language becomes important, so that there's a more complete picture of proficiency in the real world. We find that a lot of our French immersion students, by the end of grade 6, they might be able to speak French, understand French, but then you throw them into a French environment and they can still read and write, but the speaking, the listening becomes a little more difficult. So having that there. Okay, and I think that's about it.
To wrap up, in the past, we've always done our board presentations and we were able to bring our students in, and they were the ones that shared and showed, and we were so proud of them. So we, if it will work, we filmed our students, just like, it's really short. What do you love most about École Saint-Paul School? So we wanted to share that with you because they're also very precious, and they weren't able to be here with us tonight.
Just let me finish sharing that. There we go.
Thank God Sarah's so good at this, because I'd be panicking.
Oh, I'm one, sorry. There you go.
It's tough when you're sitting that far away from the screen.
What do you love about St. Paul's School? What do you love about St. Paul's School?
Learning. I love this. I love the Counterval gym. I felt St. Paul's School is about we have racks for our shoes instead of putting them on the floor, because that's like we're organizing our house. Recess. I like my friends. I like that a cool St. Paul's School is fun. I like that there's kind and hopeful students. I like the gym. I like the positive pause. I like hot lunch. I like that there's a gym. I like that it's fun and they have nice teachers. I like Eco St. Paul's School because it has a great community and a pretty nice teachers. I like that I'm learning more. That lots of people are nice. That the teachers are loving and caring. I love that I make new friends and all the teachers here are great and beautiful.
Jessa, what do you like best about St. Paul's School?
I like the playground.
Well, my mom sent me here because I was too good at English, so I was put in French. French was actually really fun.
I like the field trips. I think the school is really nice and I really like the teachers and I like the students there. The teachers are really great role models for everybody.
I like École St. Paul School because it's a French school and it celebrates all of the French traditions and everything like that.
And I also like our library. It's very stocked and full.
Oh, and what do you like about St. Paul School?
I like everything about it and math and everything. But I don't like yellow sheets. They have really good teachers. Because I like to work. It is I like math and I also like science. And I like going outside with my friends.
Kids is the best. I was too good at English. Very excited.
You have questions for us
Love it.
or comments?
Are your shoe racks special?
They're just plain old shoe racks, but he likes to organize them.
Can't imagine what you have to say if they were on the floor.
He would pick them up probably. Yeah. Organize them there.
No questions. That's just another busy school. Oh my gosh, when I sit back and think about all of this activity every day that's whirling around in all of these schools, it just wears me out. That's why I'm not a teacher. It's really amazing.
Oh, maybe just one, just because it's French immersion, or I'm just curious on your FNMI students. Like, is it a big population or smaller than other schools? This is more my curiosity.
We have, I believe
It's about 10%.
Yeah, I think it's about 10% of our population. And we have some of our Indigenous students in our French immersion program. Absolutely.
Went to French immersion as a young kid. And so when you're talking about the whole language and listening part, when I struggled with that even as a child, that was the biggest part, right? Being an English-born child, I guess I was in the same boat as my friend there. He spoke English too well, so his parents sent him to French immersion. But no, I mean the fact that you guys are focusing on that is key for anyone to be successful. And I think I might have actually been a little more interested in it if that same approach was taken when I was in like the school that I went to. Just because I felt like it's not the same as how you guys view it. And the same thing, as a couple of people have mentioned tonight, it's the importance, right? It wasn't really, there's like, oh, you have to do this because it's school. There was no real like value added to it other than you have to do it. And I think that's key when you want students to be successful.
When Sarah mentioned the AIM plays, our grade 1 classes in the past have worked towards 3 plays, and they invite their parents in, pre-COVID, to come and watch them. So that's a real motivator. And 3 plays in grade 1, and they work 2 plays in grade 2, and then as they
There's
get
plays
older.
that go all the way up to grade 6.
Yes, that's right. So that is really, it's an opportunity for our French immersion students to shine for their parents, but to work through something that's authentic and not just paper and pencil. Yeah.
As a product of as a parent of 2 children who went through the AIM middle immersion program, I'm very happy to see it still being utilized in your school, like with it all the way from grade 1 up. So that's awesome to see. I see the backdrops have gotten significantly
Fancier?
fancier, yes.
Yes.
And the costumes too.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing your school with us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We very much appreciate all of you sharing your various strengths and to see the differences and the similarities. And we're always just so happy to have you in presenting to us. And you know, showing us how well the students are thriving under your leadership, so thank you very much. And now, sorry, I'm going to look here. Yeah, so at this point, we invite you to take your leave if you so desire. Although, actually, could I ask you, would you mind staying just for this next one, and then, if you wouldn't mind, please. Well, we'll be quick.
It's like saying it's recess.
Yeah.
So close.
The bell did not go.
Go get your shoes.
So we'll move now to item number 9, which is our board updates. And I've asked you to stay because we never get to do board updates. So this is, a pretty exciting time for us. So first of all, we go to item 9.1. And do you have anything to say first, or do you want to just go ahead?
Yeah, just to the item that you have there, I'm very pleased to know and welcome Natasha McCarthy-Poole, our current Deputy Superintendent, as your selection for Superintendent. Very pleasing for me to know that the school division is in great hands, and the continuity of Catholic education in this community will continue to grow.
Yeah, so after we did an external, we hired a consultant, outside consultant, and we did an internal and external process. And as a board, we would like to formally welcome you, Natasha McArthur-Poole, as our upcoming superintendent as of August 15th, I believe. I expect there might be a little bit involved before then.
Thank you very much.
Just knowing how we roll, but I look forward to having you.
Yeah, I'm truly honored, so thank you very much for your confidence in me, I guess. Thank you.
And while we still have everybody here, would you like to start?
Sure, Madam Chair. While this is a good year overdue, nonetheless, it's something very, very important for us. Our communications director, Ms. Megan McKenney, received the award, Bravo Award, from the Canadian Communicators of Education, for her work in the flood in our community. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, really, in relation to what Megan does for us in the school division. You take it back to 2016 wildfire, flood, the pandemic, the social media, the communication with all our stakeholders, and day in and day out, what she provides for this school division. I think you have to put all those items with this award to say, just so well deserved. And our school community and Fort McMurray Catholic Schools is very blessed to have Megan with us as our communications director. Second to nobody.
Absolutely, no good board chair quote comes without.
And she supports many other divisions when they need.
Yes.
expertise,
True.
crisis
There we go.
management or an ear or whatever. So she's every-
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, that's enough for the mic will stop working.
All right, and now, if you people would like to take your lead, please feel free to do
It's
so.
officially recessed.
And thank you very much.
I don't know, there's some pretty exciting stuff coming up.
Good night, see you later.
Good night.
Good night.
Back to you.
Good, thank you, Madam Chair. Next up, we have some items for decision. The first up, I'll introduce Principal of Father Mercury High School, Ms. Lisa Miller, and she'll introduce her speaker with her and take you through this process of Robotics World competition coming up.
Well, good evening, everyone, and what an honor it is to be here again. As George has said, I'm the principal of Father Mercury School, and it's always so much fun. There are three VPs there, and they would like to express that they're sorry they can't be here tonight, but of course, we'll be here next month to do our assurance plan with you. And just watching everyone tonight, I'm excited because when we see what we do in our elementary schools, it's just such wonderful work, so I'm glad I was here. I brought Tom McIsaac here or maybe Tom brought me, but Tom is here tonight to discuss an opportunity that has come our way, and we hope you see it for what we see it as. We've been invited to Dallas, a robotics team, fantastic group of kids that go to school every Saturday. So these kids have their schooling from Monday to Friday or Monday to Thursday, and every Saturday, Tom and Miss Kalma and her husband, who is our engineer mentor, and he sponsors part of our team as well, are there every Saturday, working as though it is another school day. And so much learning for everyone involved. So again, I just want to give that little plug out there because not everyone knows that, and it's a pretty big deal. So I'll let Tom take over and discuss with you the opportunity, and we hope you enjoy the presentation and see that this is a great opportunity. Just oh, and there may be a parting gift at the end of this as well.
Maybe. Depends on how this goes.
Absolutely. So some of you already know that we have a group at our school called R Sports, Robotic Sports. We've rebranded this year. This is our new logo created by our media team. And once again, if you're not familiar with the group, we're 4 robotics groups. We have Lego Robotics, Vex Robotics, Skills Canada, Mobile Robotics, and FRC Robotics. So the group we're talking about today is Vex Robotics. This is our intermediate group. So the Vex team that would be potentially going to Worlds has actually performed exceptionally well at the provincials this year. So this is the group of our entire group. This is all of our Vex teams together at provincials. There are 4 teams, and they have done exceptionally well provincially. All 4 teams were in the final rounds for all 4 of the tournaments they attended this year, even at provincials. So they've done exceptionally well. One of the teams kind of really stood out, and I'll talk about that team in a second. Next slide. This team, 5760B. So we have Tristan Brady, Cole McKenna, Declan Craig, Chris Wegner, Tanner Sikavich, Triton Harper, and Emmanuel Baraki. So this team is exceptional. They, next slide. And the media team will come with us as well if we go. So the point of showing you that first team was that they're truly exceptional. They placed extremely high in any tournament they participated this year and in previous years actually. So the highest skills score in Alberta, so they were first in the province. Skills, I'll just back up a second and explain how the competition works. For Vex Robotics, there's a game every year, and that game is different. And how the game works is you have 3 phases for the game. First part of the game is the autonomous. It's the opening phase where the programmer for the team has programmed the robot to carry out various tasks autonomously. It's about 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, the game match starts, then it's chaos for about almost 2 minutes. So the drivers take over, and there's 4 robots in the field, and they fight to essentially earn points. And the last 30 seconds is the end game. The end game usually requires a park, and this year the end game requires a robot to park on like a teeter-totter, and I'll show you a video in a second. So our robot, unlike any other robots, was able to pick up 3 of these mobile goals, 2 in the front, 1 in the back, and you'll see the video, it's able to pick up rings at the same time and fire rings in that 3rd goal it has on the back. And then go park on the goal with all 3 goals on and the rings, and then pull the 2nd on top so they have a double park, which is, at the time we did that, had never been done. So it's a massive amount of points.
Mr. McIsaac, it's hard to see your excitement.
This is the autonomous phase they have. Just watch. So this is all programmed. Grab 1 goal, grab 2nd goal, turn, drop the ramp, grab a 3rd goal, then turn and pick up, oops, and put it in the goal. That's all programmed autonomously by our programmer.
So he's not remote?
No, it's all code. It's all programmed.
That's impressive.
So once that's done, then the drivers kick in and the chaos starts. But next slide. So this was the highest score in Canada at the time. So it's at the end of the game, and the 2 teams, the alliance partners, are getting ready to park. So our robot is the one that has the 3 goals on board. Just play. They're trying to get up. So he's pulling his partner up, and he's only got a few seconds. They have to balance.
So your robot pulled the other robot on there to balance, and they had to balance on the.
They had to balance. They don't balance, that's not working with points. He also has 3 goals on board, plus rings on board.
It gets harder every year.
He shamed the competition?
Pardon?
He shamed the competition?
Oh, big time. Oh, yeah, big time.
By making
Like
the
he's
most.
good enough, please.
That league is good too.
So that in and upon itself is just tremendous, and that speaks to their ability to, in case, design the robot.
Wow.
They've since improved it. It's, I can't even explain what it is now, but it's just unbelievable. Their coding ability, they use C++, and the new coder Tristan was telling me yesterday, he goes, you know what, I can do this, this, and this, and after about 2 minutes talking, you just hear it, it's like, because he's so immersed in it, and yeah, unbelievable. So we got an invitation to go to Worlds, and the way it worked was our team, in fact, placed extremely high in the province. We were at provincials, and we finished, I think, 3rd or 4th in provincials, but we had the highest score in autonomous, one of the highest scores in skills for that part of the event. So when we finished, we didn't get a spot at Worlds. So the national coordinator contacted me, and he said, why don't you put your name on the list? So we put our name on the list, and within a day, they invited us to Worlds. They said, your team, being the northernmost VEX team and hosting the northernmost VEX tournament in the world, deserves a spot at Worlds. So they invited us to Worlds.
Wow.
So that's why we're here. So the agenda is pretty tight. We have.
What time are you leaving on Fort McMurray? There's this belling.
Yeah, that one we just changed it today because we couldn't book the flights, and the flights went up by 5,000. So that's in the afternoon. That's like 12:10, like after lunch. Yeah. So it's a long haul to Dallas, Texas. So we get there that night, 11:35. It's not from the hotel to the airport to the hotel. Then the competition day is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday typically is teams all get in, they all check in, they practice, they register, and then the actual competition days will be Friday and Saturday. Leaving, the plan is to go to Mass on Saturday, but that's going to be largely dependent on the schedule for that day. And if that doesn't work out, the plan is to go to Mass on Sunday. And I've reached out to the 2 churches that are in the Dallas area. St. Jude's has Mass on Sunday at 9:30, and we just had our flights changed today, so we're not leaving until 1 o'clock, so we have a good opportunity to go to Mass St. Jude's. Beautiful church, by the way, so we're looking forward to going there. Administration. So because now we're traveling across the border, it's international, and COVID has not gone away, and as chaperones and coaches, we are responsible for these youth. So what we've done what we have done and we do in the past is we copy passports, birth certificates, health cards, and in this case, vaccination cards. And all of our students are fully vaccinated. Guardian form, we've got a time arranged for a notary to come in, and we have forms that the parents will sign in the presence of a notary, giving us temporary guardianship for the students when we cross the border. We have looked into the local and state protocols for COVID. Texas is still in COVID like we are, so their protocols are very similar to what we have. Their cases are pretty much similar to ours, they're up and down. So our protocols for COVID will be like we have had here. Masks are mandatory, students are all vaccinated, so we're gonna take all precautions. Getting across the border and back across the border, that's changed recently, so we don't necessarily have to have a positive or a negative test, sorry, if we're fully vaccinated to get back across the border. So that was one of our concerns too. Initially, we would have had to have a negative test, but now being fully vaccinated, they can get across the border. Student safety, that's a given. So the next thing is the budget. Because of the way the approval and planning process works for us to get approval to cross, we looked at flights when we found out about it, and we didn't book. We just looked at tentatively what it would cost, and we talked to a travel agent. As of today, those flights now cost $5,000 more. So that's the actual cost right now. We have I had a parent contact me last night and donate $2,000. A lot of the parents and people in the community are waiting for approval before they commit to any other monetary donations to us. So we do have a lot of people interested in the community and supporting us, whether it be monetarily or just helping out with bottle drives, and yeah, so parents have been talking to me. I just said that we have to wait for approval before we can actually action any of these financial initiatives. Flights, speaks for itself. So we have a couple of little, Spartan Controls is the mentor that Nick Coleman works for Spartan Controls, and they have donated $2,500 to us to use to purchase new t-shirts or apparel, whatever we want to purchase. Nick will be coming with us as well. And other companies that have sponsored us in the past for FRC have also expressed some interest in finding out how they can support us. So I know we are running a negative balance right now for funds, but we have a few initiatives in planning right now to figure out how to pay for the rest of that. At the end of the day, if we don't get the money, parents will pay. So we don't want to do that. But right now, students are paying $500 each, and we could make that $1,000 each, or even go higher if we have to cover our costs. So that's where we sit right now.
And we do recognize it's not ideal to owe the money, but you know where we both work, so we promise we'll get it somehow. So we're good for it.
It's the check in the mail, is it?
But I know it's just because the invitation came late and it happened so quickly that we're playing a little bit of catch up. But we're more than capable of making that time.
You've never had issues raising money to go before, have you?
No.
I do want to say as well, in the video, the first video you saw, that was we have a room upstairs. That's where that video was taken, where our students practice. And that's always on Saturday too, and maintained by Tom. And you saw how excited Natasha got, and Darren's over there excited too. You really have to be there, because I didn't think I was this person until I cried at Skills. When we won, I burst out crying, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, is this on video? But it is just fantastic. Like he said, these kids are coding, and their knowledge is just incredible. And they're ready to change the world in so many ways for the better. We have kids, with our drone work and all these different things. Great kids, and we just want to take them on this opportunity.
Oh, I forget.
I have them here.
Oh. So what we've done in the past is this is our new logo for our shirts, and created by our media team. We also have shirts that we give people that support us. So on the back, our support, obviously our group. So we have one free for all of you. in.
Like we just share, we just rotate.
Well, yeah, so I got a really big size. And you can so it's just an acknowledgement.
You all get in it.
Yeah. It's an acknowledgement of your support for what we've been doing for actually several years.
Yeah.
Robotics.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Does
are there
anyone have any
questions?
questions?
They don't fit, but that's just told me they
Blame us.
Are the parents, I'm curious on like any of like health insurance or anything like that? Like how are we making sure?
We'll have a meeting with parents. We have a meeting scheduled for April 30th where the notary will be there, parents will be in, and we'll have a conversation about that, about extra insurance if they feel they need the extra insurance for.
So they'll be responsible to provide if they want extra insurance.
Absolutely.
But again, if it ever happened that we had to say, and it has happened in the 33 years that I've been doing this, where we had to go get a child or send them back or what have you, that happens, and we'll deal with it when it not that it's going to, if it ever does, but there's always a solution.
Has this group of kids traveled already? Like, have they been one of the groups that have traveled, like, just even in Alberta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those guys. They've been around. Yeah.
They're frequent flyers.
They're all mostly all FRC. Yeah.
These same group of students clean up, recycle all our bottles every Thursday in our building. They do it quietly, they do it with honor, they do it with respect. It's a well-oiled machine, and again, these are top-notch kids and doing this job, just saving the world a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Great kids.
Do you want this one?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
What size, Jonathan? I can get you another one.
No, we're good. I wish I knew about this sooner. I want to come on a Saturday. I'm a tech nerd, so.
So have you seen we do a regional tournament here every year too.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll probably have it again this November. We asked for a date. We're going to ask for November again this year.
We could train him up, he could be a judge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm a big tech guy.
That's good.
Eat,
I
sleep,
have no
and
idea
breathe.
how loud
I
they
usually
were,
see
like.
this,
I would love, I want to definitely come on a Saturday.
So this is not our top level. Top level is FRC, which we didn't run for the last 2 years because of the pandemic. But the
I'll
top,
add it to my collection.
the top level is senior. Like these kids are, all places.
So that is an open invitation.
Yeah,
We're
no,
gonna
that's
put you to
great.
work, so
Hey,
that's great.
I love it. Stuff's cool. I like it.
Are all the students in grade 12, Tom, or what grades are they in?
No, Triton's grade 12, Tanner's grade 12.
You got
the
two
rest are
grade
grade
11s
11s,
there.
yeah.
Declan and Tristan.
Declan, Tristan.
And Triton's going, what's he doing for university?
He's going to Carleton University for biomedical engineering.
He did get accepted and he's on his
Probably
way.
because of all of his robotics experience.
I think.
Oh, I think so.
Tanner's applied to U of T, Ryerson, Brooks, and Carleton. He's probably going to get in U of T. He's going to do engineering. He wants to do computer engineering.
Actually, Triton found a 1997 yearbook today, and he brought it to me and showed me how young I was. He might not go to Dallas, but he showed
No,
me.
you take him and leave him.
There's lots of pictures of you too, George, is just where I'm going with that. Yeah, we were young. Okay.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, thank you very much for that presentation. And so now we have this out-of-country field trip request. And we are looking for someone to make a recommendation. Trustee Nova?
Be it resolved that the Fort McMurray Catholic Board of Education approve the request from Father Mercury High School for the VEX, what does that team say? VEX Team 5760B and Media Team compete at the VEX Robotics World Competition in Dallas, Texas from May 4th to 8th, 2022.
And all in favor?
Go.
yeah, we're.
With those flights.
We are honored to approve the
Yes.
very first trip out in like, I don't know,
Yeah.
3 years, I
3
think
years.
almost, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Be
much.
free.
Yay. Enjoy.
We can't wait to see.
Yeah.
If I may add one comment, Madam Chair, I'd be remiss if I didn't publicly thank Tom for his years and what he does and what he's done in that area. We talk about teachers in Catholic education seeing what they do as a vocation. If everyone had the same depth of vocation as he does and the work that he does, we'd be quite a school division.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you.
And Tom, if you could also extend our thanks, please, to Mrs. Kalma, Mrs. and Mr.
Yes.
Kalma, for their work and all of your dedication to the students. Exceptional. Thank you very much. And now, if you would like, you may. Oh, they're going to support you?
Maybe. I'll write it down.
All right, thanks,
Thank you, Tom.
He got what he came for, he's
He has to go book the flights now.
Yeah, before they go up
again.
All right, Madam Chair, item 10.2 for decision. It's time for the board to approve our operational calendar for the 2022-23 school year, as well as important dates for the 2023-24 school year. Just a couple of quick informations related to it. It follows our collective agreements and our calendars that we've had in the past, that being 169 instructional days, and we have 198 operational days in the division. So we're well within where we need to be. We do have to start school the week before Labor Day weekend because Labor Day is still late on the calendar, and in order for us to get our required instructional days that's required from the provincial government about education, we do have to start that first weekend before Labor Day weekend, so that's in play. Last 2 years we've had the staggered entry due to COVID. We are now going back to our normal school startup, and we will not be having a staggered entry this coming year. We've got a great balance of our professional learning community time on the Fridays in each semester, dividing the school year in half, so that's going to give us lots of time to work on our professional learning community plus model that we've started this year, and our strategic planning, and of course the importance of the new curriculum that's on its way to us in the very near future, so we're well situated to be able to work and have the time to do so. So as I said as well, I've included the important dates in the 23-24 school year for your observations as well, so I'll leave it back to yourself.
Thank you, and we did have an opportunity to review the 2022-2023 school calendar, and so I would ask for a trustee, please provide the recommendation.
Be it resolved that the Fort McMurray Catholic Board of Education approve the 2022-2023 division school calendar as presented.
All in favor? So moved. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, item 10.3, the renaming of Father Turcotte School. Last June, there was a peaceful walk by the Indigenous people in our community. It ended up in the parking lot at St. John's Church. And during speeches at that time, there were allegations that came forward of abuse by Father Turcotte when he was in Fort Chippewan. Immediately after that, I reached out to Chief Adam to have a conversation with him, and we'd agreed to leave it for the summer and then try to get together in the fall. And so we waited till after the trustee election, obviously in the fall, and we're able to secure a meeting with the chiefs and the ATC board of directors, with myself and yourself, and Trustee Janvier was there as well. And it was just a great opportunity for us to go and sit and listen to our Indigenous people, and for them to tell us the stories and what they're experiencing, what they were hearing from their own people. And I think the tragic discovery of the unmarked graves that came out, this walk, Chief Vern Janvier's trek across the country to Parliament Hill, I really think that it gave courage to the Indigenous people to come forward with things that they've held inside for so many years. We're talking individuals who would now be in their 60s and 70s. So that's all you have to think, and it's hard for someone like ourselves to be able to internalize that. So I can't imagine the strength it took for them to make those conversations public. So in consultation certainly with Bishop Paul, very supportive of us. His Grace worked with us in helping us with the renaming of the school. Father Turcotte put the school, we put it together with Principal Darren Van Leggen, set up a committee, and the committee worked together to come up with possible names for the school, and presented to you earlier this evening. And so that's kind of an abbreviated version as to where we are tonight and how we got there. And we look forward to better times forward. And I return it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Superintendent McGuigan. And with that, I would ask for a trustee to please provide the recommendation as presented.
Be it resolved that the Fort McMurray Catholic Board of Education approve the renaming of Father Turcotte OMI School to Our Lady of the Rivers Catholic School.
And all in favor? So moved. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Principal Van Lingen, for your presentation earlier this evening, and we are very pleased to provide you with a new path to move forward.
Thank you.
A path of water.
Your patience.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll continue with 10.4 as well. This is not so much a renaming, but naming of our current outreach school that is operating out of St. Gabriel. When we initially started this program as a result of COVID and having virtual learning in outreach school, it's something that we wanted to always kind of have in place for our youth at the secondary level as an alternative to I guess the operations at Holy Trinity and Father Mercury High School, because sometimes those facilities don't fit the needs of certain students, and we had to find an alternative, because our goal is to make sure that everybody graduates from high school and has a career pathway. So we were able to put this program in place, and at the start of this year, it was then given a school designation. So we certainly wanted to come before you, and Principal Deborah Kitching had a committee, and the committee came together and presented the options and selections for your consideration for the school and for the naming of the school. So that is in place for you, which you've received the information in that, and so I'll leave that with you to bring forward.
Thank you once again, Superintendent McGuigan, and so I would now ask for a trustee to provide the recommendation with respect to the renaming of the Sacred Heart.
Be it resolved that the Fort McMurray Catholic Board of Education approve the renaming of Sacred Heart Catholic School to Immaculate Heart of Mary Catholic School.
And all in favor? So moved. Thank you very much. And we had an opportunity to hear from Principal Kitching and her team a couple of months ago. So we very much appreciate all of the work that they do with those students. And having done the bulk of our work this evening, we move now to item number 12, which is information piece. Thank you both very much for
Thank you.
And I will provide a report on behalf of the Alberta Catholic School Trustees Association. We had a board meeting in March whereby we selected a new CEO executive for Alberta Catholic School Trustee Association. And it turns out he used to be a teacher here many, many years ago, but our board of directors was pleased to bring aboard Eldon Wyant as our new CEO executive for ACSTA. We approved the 2022 budget, and we have a list of 2022 strategic priorities for which I will be sending to each of you individually so that we can go over them as a group to determine which two out of these 6 priorities would be the ones that we would would be the ones of the highest priority for our division. And I will provide you with that information post-meeting. And we move now to item number 12.2, ASB Trustee Report.
I actually don't have a report tonight because the zone meeting was the day we were doing interviews, so once I review the minutes, then I will
Excellent, thank you.
send out some information.
Thank you very much. And moving to 12.3, the CCSE Trustee Report.
Nothing to report at this meeting, but I did notice on this agenda that we're missing the TBA report. No?
Great, thank you. And our next regularly scheduled board meeting is for May 9th, 2022. And with that, I would ask for a trustee to motion us to adjourn, please.
I move we adjourn this meeting, regular board meeting, April 4th, 2022.
And all in favor?
Still April 4th.
Excellent. Thank you, so moved.